Hey everybody, it's Carm here, coming to you on a Sunday evening. It's been a little while, I guess, I don't know, a month and a half or 2 months maybe. Thank you, several of you have messaged me actually asking where I've been, so I don't know, maybe it's been longer than I thought. I know Rob in Boston and Diana from Germany in particular messaged me asking where I've been, and yeah, still here, and doing okay. Some stuff had gone on which I won't go into now. Well, among them, most recently, I was out of town for a few weeks. Those of you who have been with me for a while know I head out to Arizona every year around this time during the slow season, and see good friends, or like extended family. And yeah, I just got back about a week ago, and yeah, just kind of gradually catching up on things. At some point I'll show, because I always find things when I'm out there, music and books and a lot of little, sundry things, and hiking and everything. And I'll go more into that in a future video. Felt like coming on though and sharing what's been my current listening obsession for this, well, since a couple days after I got back. I just picked up a new Ralph Towner solo album, My Foolish Heart. And just fantastic. He's put out quite a few solo guitar albums over the last maybe decade or decade and a half. I know Gary and I have talked about it, how we both kind of have this wish that he would kind of go back to what he was doing on albums like Blue Sun or Diary, where he plays multiple instruments and overdubs, kind of has almost kind of a one-man person or orchestral approach, but always enjoys solo guitar all the same. And I think this is his first new one in about maybe 5 years or so, at least. I think Timeline was his most recent, also solo guitar, classical and 12-string. But yeah, it's another beautiful one here. Composes just about all the pieces except for the title tune, which was composed by, it's an old standard of course, Victor Young and Ned Washington. This is also interesting in that I think it's one of the few albums I know of his that have liner notes that he wrote, talking about the impact of the song and the influence of the early Bill Evans trio, which really, he said in the past how his classical guitar approach kind of draws from the trio. He actually thinks in terms of like a jazz piano trio when he's playing the guitar, and you could kind of hear that in his technique and approach. And it's wonderful as always the photography, which is long-standing ECM hallmark, going with the music, kind of and like the cover of course, kind of abstract but also very evocative. And still at I believe he's going on 77, and he's still, just as creative as ever. I think this was recorded just shy of turning 76. They recorded in early 2016. And there he is there with the 12-string. But yeah, it was really, I think I found out about this just before leaving town, and I knew it was going to come out sometime. I think it was actually released early this month or late last month. So I was looking really forward to and actually found it in one of the shops that I've gone to for quite some time up north, which are pretty good. Excuse me, which are pretty good about new releases. Rolling Stone Records. They do pretty good with ECMs too. Looks like this was recorded in Italy. Yeah, just wonderful here. Excuse me. Oh yeah, again, all the tunes are written by Ralph except for My Foolish Heart. I think we're on the third tune right now, playing it really low, so hopefully it won't get a copyright notice. Saunter's playing right now, which has a kind of has this kind of jaunty quality. I don't know. Hearing it, I kind of think of someone who's sort of holding, they're about to tell a secret, but they're kind of holding back, and they're kind of, stalling a little bit. It just has that kind of feel to it. And there's another piece, Dolomiti Dance, which is really kind of like the title. It's real kind of bouncy and lilting and just fun. Clarion Call, the 6th piece is a 12-string. I think it only plays 12-string on 2 of these here, but it has, of course, his 12-string playing is just as distinctive as the classical, really getting a lot of a tonal range out of it. 2 Poets, actually the next several pieces, 2 Poets through Biding Time, are all kind of like these short miniature pieces, really kind of like, almost like little sketches, but all have that patented quality of his, melodic and rhythmic, and it's just evoking all kinds of things. Blue as in Blay, number 11, which I'm guessing is probably a tribute to. I know Carla Bley I believe she turned 80 years old last year. So, but also Paul Bley passed. I think it was, I can't remember, either late 2015 or early 2016. So it might be a tribute to either one of them. It doesn't really have like a an elegy-like quality. It's more I wouldn't say it's particularly upbeat, but it does. You can kind of hear certain quirky aspects, which maybe could be for either composer. And it ends with Peace Rewind, which is an old favorite of mine from I think it's from an Oregon album called Beyond Words from the mid-90s, which was actually a trio album, I think right after Trio Like Gertrude left. And that's I think it's one of the most not upbeat, but one of the most joyful pieces in his that I've heard him ever do. And as always, stellar playing, and always welcome hearing a new album. And again, even though it's he's done pretty much just solo guitar for the last. Well, actually, he did do a duo album with Paolo Frescu from Italy. He plays trumpet and flugelhorn, I believe. But for the most part, he's been doing the, as far as ECM, but doing the solo classical pieces. And this is a shorter album, about 40 minutes. And to the best of my knowledge, it hasn't been released on vinyl, which would have been perfect for this, being that it's so short. You could, easily fit it onto one disc. But I absolutely love it. And I just found out a couple of days ago, we have a local magazine called The Reader, which kind of just tells you about the going on around town, various live events. He actually played a live solo concert at Martyrs, which is a club on the near north side, where Oregon plays when they come to town. And he played on, it was last Sunday, which was the day that I came home. So, and I didn't know about it at the time. I only found out about it a few days ago. So I missed seeing him solo, but I'm sure it would have been wonderful. Although I've been fortunate to see him with the group several times, 3 or 4 times over the years. So I'm very happy with that, and really happy with this album. Would highly recommend it. And I'm sure everyone watching just about is familiar with Ralph Towner and what he's done over the years. If you're not, though, I'd say the best way to describe him is he's a classic. I mean, just in terms of his guitar playing, he plays classical and 12-string guitar, not always in the expected ways. It's classically trained, but it goes towards something that's not flamenco. It's not necessarily folk when you think of like acoustic folk guitar strumming. It's always, just about always, individual pick notes. But he's distilled this very individual approach, which even goes beyond jazz and improvisation. And again, kind of, drawing on the early Bill Evans trio, finding a way to make that one instrument sound like a group. So, and maybe who knows? Maybe there was no need for him to go in and play multiple instruments. He could, and you listen to it enough times, you could hear it on each tune, where he really does find a way to transcend the solo format in a sense, even though it's all sounds to be done in real time. So yeah, with the way that things in the world are, you could at least say, well, Ralph Towner's come out with a new album, and all's right for that alone for a while. So yeah, excellent stuff here. And highly recommended as always. I actually found a few other ECMs not long ago too, recent ones. So I'll have to get those together and show and talk about those too. I think there's another classical guitarist in there as well, kind of a new generation, kind of similar to what he does. But yeah, once again, Ralph Towner, My Foolish Heart. I definitely recommend picking it up. So yeah, that's it for now. I just want to come on real quick. Again, even though I know it's been a little while, and I guess it's all relative. Sometimes it seems sooner or later, but I guess it has been a while. But yeah, good to be back on, and try to get back on a little more regularly. And just yeah, I'll have I've got some things gathered to eventually come on and show. You don't see him, but Rocky is right behind the camera, and it's been pretty calm for the time being, so he's not jarring anything around for now. So we'll see you on the next video. So overall, well, and well, thanks again for the messages and comments. Till next time, peace, love, and joy.